What's up, guys? Welcome to the Dana White's Contender Series post show. I am your host, Bree Eckert. This is brought to you by Fight Bananas. And today we have a special guest. We've got Cam on the episode today. What's up, Cam?
What's up, guys? How are you guys? Well, how are
Yeah,
you?
everybody, let us know in the comments what you thought about the fights. Let us know what fight was your favorite. Let us know what you think about Dana White's contracts that he gave up. Let us know what your thoughts are. It's week 3, so we're really kind of getting into it, and I'm excited. But let's just go ahead and get into the fight. So the first fight of the night, Luis Pajuelo versus Robbie Ring. Man, this is this was a fun fight. I wasn't sure what to expect because Robbie Ring, it looked like his family's got a lot of experience in martial arts. I don't know, Cam, what were your thoughts on that fight?
Yeah, I was. It was definitely different seeing somebody have both parents be cornering them.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching it with my parents, and my dad was like, "Well, would you let your mom corner you?" And no, I would not let my mom corner me. But also, my mom's never trained any type of martial art.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I mean, it is different. He comes obviously from a background. I did not realize that combat jiu-jitsu, if you could have a black belt in, is something in the
I didn't
pre-fight.
either.
That was something that I was like, I did not know that. And I thought the fight was great. Puella, I'm trying not to butcher his name, but very good posture, striking. And kind of broke down Robbie on the feet, in my opinion. I felt like Robbie was kind of standing straight up with his striking posture, a little loopy, a little. You could tell the jitters were there, the excitement was there, trying to land those big shots. But a little just posture was too standing up, in my opinion. And then Puella was just beautiful with mixing it up on the ground. His ground and pound was impressive to me. That was the takeaway for me.
Yeah. Well, and Robbie had a few good moments, like especially early in the fight. He landed I think it was like a 1, 2, 3. He landed pretty clean, and he looks like he was kind of off to a good start with his volume. Like he was throwing a lot of strikes, and then Halo. I can't remember what he threw, but he hurt Ring.
It was a nice straight right hand. I felt like
Yeah.
Robbie was coming to what you said, a nice 1, 2, 3, nice volume. He threw a 1, 2, 1 that landed. All three landed. It was good pressure, but he was just a little too excited in a sense.
Yeah.
And that posture just got kind of exposed by Puella, and just a good in the pocket, kind of moving a little bit off the center line, good head movement, and then just a constant pressure moving forward on Robbie. That kind of made him fade, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, and it seemed like too he wasn't landing as many shots as Robbie, but when he landed, he was just landing way harder, and it was hurting Robbie a lot more than Robbie was able to hurt him. So I think that
Yeah.
had a lot to do with it too. Like he was just seemed like he had a lot more power behind his punches, and then it was interesting. I thought it was pretty creative at the end there when he threw that knee to the body on the ground. You just don't really see that too often. Yeah, that was fun. I was like, oh, that's creative.
Yeah, very creative. That's one thing that it shows is having the creativity and then in the moment be able to kind of slow down and say, hey, like I don't need to just blow all my gas throwing shots to the head when say maybe he's blocking those shots. So be able to piece them up top and then okay, I've created a little space. If I slide this knee into the diaphragm, it kind of mixes it up. Now you have that guy guessing, and then you can kind of open up more because that guy has no clue what you do. And then just knees to a grounded opponent, like to the body, I feel like are very underutilized. I mean, we've seen maybe Khalil Roundtree does a great job in the UFC doing so when he has somebody press the cage on all fours. But you don't see it too often. So to see it tonight, and you just saw how it crumpled Robbie, just took the soul out of him, honestly. And it's just one of those things where it feels like your soul's leaving your body, and you can't do much about it.
Yeah. But I always tell people, I'm like, dude, yeah, it hurts getting punched in the face, but like when you get hit to the body, like I've never been knee to the body because I've only sparred with boxers, like doing boxing sparring. But getting hit to the body, like God, it's just a different feeling. Like it just takes the wind out of you sometimes, and you're just like, oh, like it. I feel like we're starting to see more of it in MMA. Like fighters are throwing more like hooks to the body and throwing more like jabs to the body and stuff like that. But also we're seeing throwing like a lot more like teep kicks and throwing knees to the body. I've noticed that like a little bit more work to the body. Like just I don't know. I guess maybe I've been paying attention to it more, but I feel like lately they've been kind of utilizing it more in MMA.
Well, I feel like what we're seeing now is at the highest levels, and then just people coming up through the ranks, but those higher level fighters are doing such a good job at mixing it up and realizing if I go head hunting, there's a chance that I could go 50-50 and get caught with something. But if I keep this guy guessing and I keep a patience about me when I'm coming forward, there can be a technical aggression when you're coming forward, and be patient in the pocket and mix it down low. Like Volkanovski is a great example. Is when he's pressuring somebody, especially Yair, he pressured him up top. He was landing hard strikes. He had rocked him, but then all of a sudden you see him go down low, hit him with like a straight right to the body, just to put it in the back of his mind. Maybe it doesn't land
Right.
solid, but the thought's there. And if the thought's
Yeah.
there, then I mean you have to be aware of it and address it. Because if not, then there's a hole there that a fighter can expose. So that's definitely true. I feel like the higher level strikers that we're seeing are starting to realize, like, hey, I need to kind of mix it up, drop those hands, because if I attack the body, those hands are going to drop. Now I can come back up to the head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was just a beautiful finishing sequence. Like, I mean, the knee to the body was definitely really like what I think did it for him, and then just following it up with the ground and pound, and yeah, I mean, it was beautiful. That was a great performance. And another fighter from Peru. It seems like they're kind of coming up lately. Like we have Borjas. I think he was on the first episode. Got a contract, and then in PFL we've got Jesus Pinedo, who's about to fight
Yeah.
for the championship. So, um, yeah, that's exciting for Peruvian fighters for sure.
Yeah, it's showing like MMA as we continue to progress. Obviously, fighting is an international thing. And so it's cool to see smaller countries that you haven't seen a big section of fighters, kind of like how we're used to American fighters, we're used to Brazilians, we're used to people from like Dagestan, stuff like that. But seeing like smaller countries start to produce guys like we've got him that got signed. We got Elliott, that's a Welsh fighter, a second Welsh
Yeah,
fighter to come out of the Contender series. So things like that, it's really cool for the progression of mixed martial arts.
yeah, it's exciting. And even seeing like more fighters, coming up from Australia and like the other countries that have a presence, but like it's starting to really they're starting to really get to the elite level, like where we're gonna see more champions from other countries in Mexico and like it's an exciting time to be an MMA fan for sure. But yeah, that was a great fight. Um Obviously I expected a contract from that one, so
Yeah.
I was not surprised at all when Dana gave him the contract. Now he's 8-1, so that's exciting. Going to the UFC, he's got a good record. I'm excited to see who they match him up with next. That's featherweight, so yeah, that'll be interesting. That's a stacked division, so
Yes, for sure.
he's going into a Shark Tank, yeah. And
Definitely.
then the next fight, that was the women's fight, right? That
Yes,
was the
Verbeek
strawweight.
versus
Yeah. That
Knudsen.
was a fun fight.
I thought it was a great fight. I thought Knudsen, if I'm trying not to butcher these names. Pensacola, Florida. So I'm trying to do the best I can.
No,
But
you're
I
good.
felt like she did a great job of nullifying Verbeek's length. Verbeek had a 4-inch reach advantage.
Yeah.
which I expected her to use and establish, especially like a long jab, stuff like that. But right off rip, we see a kind of like a lead leg front kick, well, not a front kick, round kick to the face that rocked Verbeek real quick.
Yeah. She was hurt. I thought it was about to be over, honestly.
Yeah, I thought it was. I was like, "Wow, way to make a statement on the Contender Series. Exactly what you need to do." But the thing, what Dana's saying, and why she didn't get the contract, and I agree. I'm torn because I agree in a sense of why, when you rock somebody so hard and that much, do you enter in the clinch? Like she could have
Yeah.
created the space and finished the job, especially on the Contender Series in the past. On all the seasons, we've always seen Dana say, "Hey, I'm looking for guys that are looking to finish the fight," things like that, and he's more apt to kind of hold contracts from people that don't capitalize on those situations. But in
Yeah.
the another sense, I felt like she was so well rounded. That clinch game was beautiful. They're both kickboxers, Muay Thai specialists. Those
Right.
knees to the body were phenomenal. The head position was great. The pressuring against the fence, the underhooks, beautiful. The aggression moving forward and the striking game was solid. Um, she kept the pressure for the good majority of 3 rounds. Verbeek started kind of pushing back in that last round, trying to mount a comeback. But overall, I just thought it was a very well-rounded performance.
I did too. And I thought it really spoke to just how, like you said, how well rounded she is because, she went all 3 rounds. So at least we know she has good cardio. I mean, she looked fresh every round.
Mhm.
She really kind of dominated the fight. I mean, the second round, I think it was the second round, Verbeek had some moments and she had a good round, honestly. I still thought that Knutson won every round, but
Yeah,
she definitely like made it a tough fight. And for her to, I mean, be able to come back from that early, I guess she stunned her. But I mean, yeah, like I thought it was gonna be over, like right then and there. Like I thought she was gonna, maybe get on top of her, do some ground and pound, whatever, to finish the fight. But it just speaks to the toughness of Verbeek, and you don't really see a ton of finishes in that weight class too.
yeah,
So I kind of took that into consideration. I'm like, okay, maybe Dana will give her a contract just because like this is kind of a common thing in strawweight.
yeah,
And she showed, I have cardio, I'm well rounded, I'm good in the clinch. She's definitely a fighter that has a strong fight IQ and also doesn't really have a ton of holes in her game. So I was like, okay, maybe he'll give her a contract, but I wasn't shocked that he didn't just because, I know he's trying to also find fighters that are going to sell tickets. So,
yeah. I agree.
yeah,
I felt like she had her because there was 2 instances. There was that head kick, and then in the second round when Verbeek was kind of coming and trying to have her moments, there was a left hook that landed that I don't think Knudsen realized how bad she had her rocked. But if you just create the space for half a second, and then I think honestly, if she would have put her down in that second round after that hook, Dana would have given her the contract. Because
yeah,
out of all the fighters, I felt like um, we saw the most well-rounded like game tonight from her.
I
The
agree.
head movement was great. The little head movement, good hand position, movement, being able to nullify that length. All those things were great things, and they're things that like DC just kept saying it. She's a UFC caliber
Yeah,
fighter already. So I believe we'll see her in the UFC
I
unless
think so too.
other promotion snatchers that are up, but I do think she'll be in the
Yeah.
UFC. Um,
And that happens,
yeah,
sometimes like Julius Ingliskus, he used to teach some classes where I used to train, and he was on Contender Series, and then he ended up getting signed to Bellator and ended up fighting for the title in Bellator. So it's like
yeah,
even the fighters that don't end up getting a contract, like a lot of these people, like you're gonna see them either in the UFC at some point or you're gonna see them in another promotion. a lot of times, because there's a reason why they picked him to be on Contender Series. I mean, a lot of these fighters are undefeated going into this, and there's just so much talent, but there's also so many outlets for the talent now. Like we've got PFL, we've got LFA, we've got One Championship, we've got all these different organizations. So yeah, I mean, and sometimes, maybe the Contender Series is like a learning experience for them a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they bounce back and they come back, and sometimes they get to go on it again. We see that all the time where they get a second chance. So, yeah, I definitely think we'll see her in the UFC at some point, or in like PFL or something like that. Because she definitely has a ton of talent, and she doesn't have a lot of fights under her belt. I mean, she's only 6-0 now, so she's still only got 6 pro fights. So imagine if she's this good already, and I know she's got the Muay Thai background, but if she's this good already and already is showing good grappling, and she's more of a Muay Thai specialist, then that's a good sign to me that she's got a lot of room to grow. And with her still being undefeated, she's still got that momentum going. So I don't even really look at this as a bad thing for her. In fact, it might be a blessing in disguise. Who knows? Maybe she gets a better contract somewhere else. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with all those things for sure.
Yeah, well, let's see. The fight after that was Brito versus Elliott, right?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
that was. Yeah. Okay.
That was the next one.
I'm getting the last two mixed up. I don't know why.
Yeah, they were supposed to have that 5 fights, and then one earlier or yesterday or something like that.
Yeah, one of them fell through, but you know what? It was Felipe dos Santos. He is actually going to be fighting on UFC 293 now instead of on the Contender Series. So he's going to be fighting Manel Kape. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, so
that definitely worked out for him.
I mean, I was talking to Dad, and Dad was like, "Oh man, it feels like going in against the Wolves, because Manil's he's legit." But also in the same sense, it's like if you're in the UFC, a guy that you're supposed to technically lose to. Nobody's expecting him to be the favorite in this fight. But the upside, if you win, you get that ranking next to you. You get you got the big hype machine now. You're this guy that you were supposed to fight on the Contender Series, and now you take out the number 9 on your debut. I mean, that would only be up from there.
Yeah.
Big time,
well, it's like, even if he loses, it's like, well, I lost to, one of the top guys in the division. So it's like, and if he loses, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, that's going to be exciting.
Where you stack up. So it's cool.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes, they rush people, or sometimes they just like kind of give people a bad matchup in their debut. But at the same time, it's like, it's still a great opportunity for them to get experience and have that. Even sometimes having a loss on your resume, it's like, hey, look, I fought this guy and he's champ now. Like, even if you lost him, it's like, oh, you've been in there with literally the best of the best. So I think it's a great opportunity for him. And yeah, I mean, it definitely worked out. I mean, his opponent missed weight, which that sucks. And that happens, from time to time, but it ended up becoming kind of a blessing in disguise. So it's nice. It's good to see.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, Brito versus Elliott. That was a welterweight fight. That was a fun fight too. Oh my gosh. Elliott is so tough. Holy crap. His chin is just incredible.
Man, I tell you, I thought he was melted around. I was with DC. I was like, this fight's over. Because Brito throwing right from he was throwing just hands, like just every punch was hard. You could see with how he's moving his body. He's throwing everything with just bad intentions. But Elliott right off rip was composed. I'd have to agree with, it was like trying to up this dance of Brito's throwing so hard, but how do I kind of close that distance without getting clipped and land my takedown? And I would have to agree with DC also with landing the takedown. If he would have just slowed it down a little bit, not get so excited to pass or try and lock down a superior position other than just kind of slow him down, especially with somebody that's so aggressive on the feet. If he's able to slow him down, those punches don't have as much juice on them, things like that. But my goodness, to come back in that third round like that,
I
and then
know.
just the level of the technique, that's one of the biggest takeaways for me. Is he came out and he showed grit, he showed heart, things like that. But he showed in that third round, hey, I've got enough gas in the tank to keep good technique. And yeah, he only threw like three versions of this kind of technique. He kept throwing like a 1-2 and then a kick to the body. But it was good technique each time. And if you get gas to after a war in round 2 and you five, and then you can bounce back and throw just solid technique in that third round, and then future reference championship fights possibly in that fourth and fifth round. That's what separates like the great fighters from just good fighters.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's almost like more impressive that he was able to win the fight after dealing with all that adversity because, I mean, he was going against a guy that has, coming into this fight, 20 pro fights under his belt, 16 wins and 4 losses. So to fight somebody with pretty much double the experience of you, I mean, even that is like a huge risk. And Oban Elliott, he was fighting in Cage Warriors, I believe,
Yeah.
which is a really tough promotion. So, yeah, I mean, they both were, there's a reason they were matched up together. They're both really, really good fighters. And Brito has so much experience. I mean, in the end of the second round, literally very end of the round, he attempted that armbar. And if he would have had like 10, 15 seconds left in the fight, who knows what would have happened there. I mean, he was
Yeah.
literally like, Oban was saved by the bell.
I'm surprised
That was
in the
crazy.
Apex, it, for the Apex being so small. I mean, there's been times in the past where UFC cards, you hear almost the commentator saying something, and then the fighter will hear it over during the fight. And DC is over there just like, why is he not switching the armbar? Why is he not switching the
Yeah.
armbar? I'm like, DC, you're not a cornerman. I
Right.
like you're gonna tell this guy to submit the dude. But honestly, same thing is just fight awareness. Brito kind of
Yeah.
lacked it there in that second round because if he had about 40 seconds, 30 seconds to kind of control the back. Armbar was staring him in the face.
Yeah.
And as you said, 10 more seconds, he probably finishes that armbar or probably does enough damage to where it's like, can Elliott use that arm anymore?
Right. That's what I
So
was thinking about going into the third round, and that's why I was kind of surprised. Like he really kind of took over in that round, and I'm like, I wonder, is his arm okay? Like, what's going
yeah,
on here? Because it was pretty close at
it
the
was
end of that
getting
round. I
dicey
mean,
there.
yeah,
And
yeah,
And so he came back. It showed heart, grit, things like that. You want to see that out of a fighter. Brito just kind of
definitely,
folded and was content with like just sitting there, kind of in the guard, I guess. Um,
yeah,
didn't really, and that's the thing that kind of kills me is, I mean, it just in general for fights when you feel like it's close or it could go either way, just you gotta put it out there. I mean,
yep,
it's all on the line. It's all or nothing type thing in that third round, especially if you go 1-1 on the rounds, and especially now you double that when you're talking. It's your shot at the UFC. It's your
yeah,
shot at getting you're like completing your dreams almost like getting to the stage to where dreams are coming true, things like that. And to not like lay it out on the line and kind of sometimes kind of be content or just kind of accept the position is a tough spot to be in. And but props to Elliott. He laid it out on the line. That's what you do in the
yeah.
third round. You put the pedal to the metal when you need to. And he just that ground and pound started getting nasty too. It was not sounding too pleasant. And also, I mean,
Yeah.
great personality, great
Yeah.
story, things that you can sell in the UFC, and things that will definitely draw eyes, especially with the UK.
Exactly. I think that was probably the biggest differentiator between because I was thinking, I'm like, okay, well, there's two fighters on this card that won by decision. I think they're both UFC level fighters. I think they both will do great in the UFC, but I think what Elliott had that Knudsen didn't have is, like you said, kind of that star power. Like, I could see him being really good on the mic and like press conferences and, doing his thing on social media, whatever he's got to do to sell his fights. Like, I could see him being really good at that and calling his shots, which is all really what you want to see. And also, too, like, when there are fights like that where, maybe they face some adversity and they come back from it, from the fans' perspective, that is more exciting than watching like a one-sided dominant, 3-round decision. So
Yeah.
I think that really probably played a part in that too. It's just, yeah, it's entertaining, even though he arguably lost a round, which might have even been a 10-8 round in one of the judges' eyes. Which that would have been crazy if that was a draw. Oh my god! I've been like, what the heck?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you match, or I don't know what you do from there.
Yeah, because it was two of the judges scored at 29-28, but one of them scored at 28-28. So I thought that was kind of wild. But
I think Elliott will be a good draw. Definitely got things, but obviously great personality, things on grit. Takedowns are there. And he kind of draws from, he referenced it, and also they showed a little from the Warriors. I guess he had an interview from Cage Warriors, but definitely with the Chael type.
Yeah,
So he draws inspiration from Kelly P. So I like Chael. So
I do too.
I'm really fine with it. Dig it. And we'll see. It'll be to watch.
Yeah, it'll be fun watching him fight, and it'll definitely be fun watching him talk trash for sure. And then the last fight was Eli Oronov, I think that's how you pronounce it, versus Zachary Reese. And this one I was really excited for because they're both undefeated. Zachary Reese I don't know, I just had a feeling that he might win this one. I don't know why. I just kind of, it's always hard to tell when they're both undefeated because it's like, well, we haven't seen anybody beat them yet, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But it seemed like he just maybe had a little bit more experience. Maybe has fought tougher opponents. I don't know what it was, but it looked like he was more experienced to me. He also is huge. He's 6'4", and he's just massive. So
his name is insane. He just looks massive.
Yeah.
I know they mentioned it. He was, I think, 5 into this, 5 first-round finishes. The question was there.
Now he's got 6.
Now he's at 6. The question was there of what level quality opponent are you fighting? Which, is understandable. I get that. And I even wrote it down. Really capitalize on it. It wasn't blowing me away by any means. In general, he was landing decent. It wasn't like anything that just breathtaking.
I think you cut out, my friend. Let's see if we can get you back. Technology. Are you there?
Yep. Cut out.
Oh, there you are. I was about to message you. I'm like, oh no, your internet failed. You. We got you back. Cool.
I guess I don't know where I ended there, but what I was saying was, there wasn't anything too crazy landing on the feet. But also when you fight for a minute and some change, it's kind of
to
see some that you're like, oh wow, that was mind blowing. I mean, he capitalized on a great, like a big mistake. DC was complaining about it. You definitely don't stand up in an armbar. The learning curve his opponent.
Yeah.
But as Dana said, I mean, you can't really deny Scott's 6 first round finishes.
Yeah.
I had put a question because the fight was so fast and his record 6-0, and they only said one fight has only gone past 90 seconds. I had wrote down maybe another Contender Series fight, just because we've seen that in the past. Of if that kind of happens, Dana will be like, "Yeah, I would like to see more." Props to you, but I know I'm giving the contract to the right guy type thing. Also, you can't really argue with Dana giving a contract to a guy that's got 6 first round finishes. So
yeah, it definitely, and that's what I was kind of thinking because. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it looked like an experience thing with Eli. Maybe was the issue there because I think they're both really good fighters and they're both undefeated. So obviously, yeah, like they're there for a reason. And yeah, so I don't know. I would like to see another like slight step up in competition, but like not too much of a jump. I guess is what I would like to see for him. And it's middleweight, so I don't know. It's not like he's jumping into lightweight or bantamweight or one of those like really tough divisions. So that would be like probably one of his advantages right now going into the UFC. But yeah, I would like to see them maybe gently ease him into the UFC and not give him like not do what they're doing to Felipe.
yeah, just don't throw him in the deep end. And
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes depending on the personality and stuff, has themselves in the by doing so. I mean, I think would be a.
Oh no, I lost you again.
So, and then
I think you're back. There you are.
I don't know why I keep cutting out.
I know I had this problem a few weeks ago, so I get it. It's frustrating.
Okay. Yes.
No, you're good.
But yeah, for Reese, not sometimes they do that, and kind of crush a prospect that they could have nurtured a little more. And it's the fight game. There's no easy fights, all that, blah 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 blah, all the things Dana White says. But in a sense, you can match up fights in a sense of kind of nurturing, like how they did Sean O'Malley. They didn't just throw Sean O'Malley in the deep end. You kind of slow him up to where he is now.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that would be the smart move, especially since he's undefeated and he's got all these first round finishes. It's like, well, we don't even know what he's going to look like in the second and third round, or later in the future if he makes the fourth and fifth round. So yeah, I think easing him into it, kind of giving him a step up, obviously, because we want to see him tested a little bit, but not to the point where there's a big risk there. So yeah, so it'll be interesting to kind of see how he does. I do think that is kind of a testament, though, to somebody like Elliott, where he showed us, hey, I can go 3 rounds, I can come back from adversity. Here's what happens if I get in these bad positions. So with him, there's no mystery there, but there is still mystery with Zachary Reese. So it is kind of crazy, like Contender Series. It's like the most guaranteed way to earn a contract really is to get a first round finish. But at the same time, if you do get a first round finish, then there's still just so many unknowns.
There's questions. There's questions of what's gonna guy really have, when he gets pushed, what is made of?
Yeah. How much heart do they have? How bad do they want this? All of those questions. And yeah, Elliott really answered all of them. And at first I was like, the first performance of the night, obviously, anytime there's a finish, that's always ideal for Contender Series. But I think Elliott was my favorite performance of the night. Honestly, I do, just because um, he did show us everything. He showed us his entire game. He showed us that he's not going to quit. He's really not going to quit. And not only that, not only is he going to survive, but he's going to come back and actually win the fight, because he knew, like, yeah, I need to either finish this fight or I need to definitely secure this round. When he went into the third round and to come back from that armbar, that was wild.
Yeah, he answered questions. He showed he's got a personality. It was compelling, just the story going into it. I mean, with his father, and then they touch on this man's down rail working 12 hours a day trying to chase his dream. I mean, his work, like his co-workers are out here letting him take naps on his shift to be able to achieve his goal. He's got the story,
I
to
love
really
that
build
so much.
build that career. So
it
really,
and that's what a lot of these fighters have built their career off of. And like O'Malley's kind of one of those guys, like with the recent pay-per-view, that's just the first one that pops in my head, that he's really sold us on like his story, and he's really sold us on like just his belief in himself. And that's what Elliott has. He has strong self-belief to be able to like do what he does and like work 12-hour shifts and take naps while he's at work, and then come on the Contender Series. And there's a lot of fighters out there that are doing the same thing, and they don't get recognized for it. But it's hard not to respect him. It really is. It's hard not to.
Yeah, it's definitely different. Like what you said about Sean. I mean, one thing that is I've been seeing that picture of it. It shows the picture really young, and I guess he shaved it up for like tucks, and where he is.
We lost Cam. Dang technology. Elliott is a true Welsh warrior. Yeah. That guy's crazy. I love it. He's a monster. He's just so tough. So insanely tough. I don't know what happened to Cam. Oh, here we go.
It kicked me out completely this time.
I got you back.
Yeah. Well,
so what was your favorite performance of the night? I'm going with Elliott, I think. I think that was my favorite.
I think my favorite performance of the night, honestly, I do like it was the most compelling, but just from a skill level, I Canuckson, she was the most to me skill wise. It was just frustrating to me in a sense, not create the space, like, and I really thought she could have got the finish. I mean, I've watched her be. She's fought on Game Bread, circles that in a sense, like I know Dean Tool kind of runs in a circle, like our spheres are right there, type thing. So in a sense, I'm kind of rooting because she's competed on those, and I've seen her plenty of times. So there were frustrating things though, like watching Canucks not create the space and having the not getting caught up in the moment and go, hey, I can really finish if I just create the space, land a right hand or a combination together. But other than that, overall, I thought her performance was the best, the kind of most controlling and dominant, and just showed great
Yes.
details that you'll see in those high level UFC fighters, and just high level MMA as a whole. So it'll be exciting to see she go and what her is.
Yeah, definitely. I really liked her performance too, and it was a really good fight. It was very high level. Obviously, they're both really highly skilled in Muay Thai, and she just looks like one of those fighters who give her like 4 or 5 more fights, and she'll probably win all of them. At that point, I think is when she's really gonna like get into a groove of like getting more finishes and having those standout performances. And if you think of like some other fighters, like you think of a Habib, like his early days in the UFC, like he wasn't just getting like all these finishes all the time. Like he had a lot of tough fights, like Leeson Tebow, but then ends up, retiring 29-0. So it's like, not every single fight that they have is going to be like that, but sometimes it just shows that they actually it's a testament to their fight IQ too, because like sometimes fighters will like go for the finish and then they'll take a risk, and with that happening, then they end up losing the fight. So I would almost rather see a smart fighter sometimes than a fighter who's just going to get a bunch of finishes, just because it's like, yeah, they're really like taking this seriously. Like they don't want to take any risks or get themselves into trouble, or like they are sticking to their game plan no matter what. And I think that's exactly what she did. She stuck to her game plan. We lost Cam again. Cam. Oh, there you are.
This technology.
I know it's a struggle. It's all right. We're almost done anyways, but yeah, I just wanted to share my thoughts on my favorite performance. But really all of them were impressive. I mean, everybody on this show is so talented. I always love watching Contender series because it's just stacked with fresh blood. I'm excited. All right, I think we lost Cam officially. Oh, that's okay. Technology hates me too. Well, I don't know if Cam is going to come back. We'll see if his internet cooperates. But thank you guys for watching, and I appreciate you commenting and leaving your thoughts and interacting with us. It's been really fun. This is my 3rd week doing this, so I'm really enjoying not only watching the Contender series, but also I look forward to this too, where we can kind of chat about the fights and give our thoughts on the performances. And it was really fun. I don't know. I was kind of disappointed that one of the fights fell off, but at the same time, that's really exciting that he's now going to be fighting on UFC 283, and that's huge. That's way better than going to Contender series, getting a huge fight like that. So yeah, hopefully he got some kind of contract out of that, because that's a really tough fight. But yeah, that is exciting. So, oh, we got Cam back. Hold on. Let's add him back in. All right, Cam. I was just about to wrap up, but I'm glad you hopped back on.
I worse than me.
It's all good. It's all good. Well, thank you so much for joining me on here. It was a pleasure talking to you about the fights. I'm sure we'll talk about the fights. Are you watching the Holloway card this weekend? Are you gonna wake up early as heck?
I'll try and catch as much as I can right before I go to practice in the morning. So yeah, I'm a huge Max Holloway. Like, I
love Max.
Man, if I could meet one fighter, train with one fighter, Max Holloway is the guy that I would want to train with.
Definitely. All right, well, we will wrap this up. Again, thank you everybody for watching and for leaving your comments and your thoughts. We will see you again next week. Go make sure to follow Fight Bananas. Subscribe to their YouTube and go follow Cam, and you can follow me. And I'll be hosting the rest of the 8 weeks. So I'm excited to see you guys again next week. Bye.